Hey there, welcome to my pre-PCT video number 3. And in this one I want to talk about, last time I talked about some of the concerns I have with like physical obstacles that I may encounter, past injuries that I'm worried about flaring up and things like that. And then just the fact that the trail is such a repetitive thing every day that could wear on a body. And I'm a little concerned about those things. So now I'm going to go over some of the mental aspects because that's just as important as physical, and that bumps as many people off the trail, off the Pacific Crest Trail, as the physical stuff does. I've seen folks on the trail that are in very good shape, and they only get so far because they just mentally they were not prepared for the trail itself, and sometimes the either isolation or being away from loved ones and things. And so it's an important factor, the mental thing. And for me, the big one is family. It is one of the things that kept me from doing the trail before, not because my family is not supportive, but just that family is important to me. When I started a family and my children were small, I wanted to be a part of that every minute I wanted to be a part of that, and so there was no way I was going to go away for months on a trail, and I had a career, and that career helped pay for the family having a good lifestyle and nice vacations and roof over the head and all that good stuff. So that kept me from, or it didn't keep me. It's such a hard to use the right terminology. At the time, I decided that was a priority, and I'll be 100% honest. If my kids weren't now mostly grown, I've got one away at college across the country, and one who's a sophomore in high school, mostly grown and doing their own things and stuff, being more independent. I wouldn't even be considering the Pacific Crest Trail. I'd be perfectly happy, because that's the thing is I'm not running to the trail to get away from certain things in my life. I'm just not. I enjoy the blessings I have in my life, especially my family. And so it's just the trail, the PCT is something I've wanted to do for a long time. And I know it'll be a regret of mine if I get to an age where I know I can't do it now. I am not in shape to be able to do it. And I didn't even try. So, I don't want that regret hanging over me. I want to at least give it a try. If I can at least say, man, I tried it. I did this far and couldn't do any more. Okay. But I gave it a shot, type of thing. At least that. If not, yep, in such and such year I did this, So, but that's going to be the big one. I'm going to get out there, and it's going to be probably a fairly short amount of time before I am really missing my wife. I know there's some guys out there saying, oh my gosh, you're going to get your wife's letting you go for such and such amount of months. Hey, I know, because I've worked with folks like that, and then where it baffles me. Why are you married? Because all you talk about is how great it is to get out of there, and how it bothers you when she wants you to do this with the kids, and it's like, what are you doing? I've never understood that. I've always been a family guy. I love my wife. I like to spend time with my wife. She and I have a great routine. She is not able to retire like I have, but like on the weekends we do our grocery run together, just she and I, and it's fun. We have a good time. We have nice vacations together when we can, and we can afford it and things like that. It's just I like spending time with my wife. I like spending time with my kids. So I know I'm going to come to a certain point on the trail where I am just going to be missing them a lot. And I already know even on shorter trails, there have been several times where oh, this is a gorgeous view, and right away my mind goes to, I wish I could share it with. You know, I think my daughter would love to see this. My wife would be really interested in seeing that. And you know what I mean? So that's going to be the biggie for me, I think, mentally. I'm not too worried about mentally the daily thing. Physically, the daily thing could be a problem, but mentally, I can handle that schedule of get up, eat something, pack up camp, go. You know, walk for a while, take a break. I can handle that mentally. I know there are going to be times on the trail, especially since I'm, you know, technically a solo hiker, but I've heard and I've seen on YouTube, I've seen that for the most part, you're not alone a lot of the time. You may actually hike most of the day alone, but once you get to general camping areas, you know, that's when the hikers tend to group up. And the folks that are doing the same paces, so people that are going to be roughly the same pace as I am, will kind of be roughly together all the time when it's time to stop and hitting the trail towns similar times and things like that. And relationships form, friendships form, and things like that. Sometimes even what they call tramilies form, a trail family forms. And that's cool. And if I end up having that kind of fortune and meet some really cool people that I end up hanging with for a lot of part of the trail, that's fantastic. But I am prepared for some times of just total isolation. You're just out there by yourself. And in a lot of places you are out there by yourself. And I'm ready for that. I can handle that. I've done some solo backpacking in the Sierras, a little bit of that. Most of my backpacking experience was with friends and things like that. So I'm usually not alone when I go. But I am prepared for that, just being out there by myself. I can handle the isolation. I really think I can. So I think the big one is going to be family, missing family and things like that. And so that's going to be the challenge for me, I think. I think it really will. If anything is going to start getting my mind to go that direction of, you know, you don't have to do this and that, just go back to the family. It's gonna be those thoughts right there. But again, like I said in the previous one, I am not out here to prove anything. I've already got it in my head that, you know, I have mentally committed to a certain part of the trail. I'm definitely shooting to get that done. And if I get that done, as far as I'm concerned, it's a successful hiking season. If I end up doing more, then I will do more. If I end up standing on the border between America and Canada, hey, wow, you know, I did a lot more of the trail than I thought I would. But I'm definitely committed to, because it's different backpacking for me. I haven't done a lot of desert backpacking. I wanted to do the desert section in one big chunk. I think it'll be fun, and it will be the longest backpack trip I've been on. As I said before in the other video, you know, 4 or 5 nights is my record. So this will be breaking that record times you know what. So I think it'll be successful if I can at least reach that goal. And if I go beyond that goal, awesome. You know, that's fine. And I think one of the ways I'm going to do it again is mental. Is you have this saying that a through hike is just a bunch of section hikes strung together, and that's how I'm going to approach it. You know, this through hike I'm doing, and I'll call it a through hike. I know it's not, might not go all the way to Canada this year. I'm eventually going to do the entire PCT, whether I do it all this year or just do huge chunks at a time every year until I'm done. I'll get it done. But as far as I'm concerned, if I do the entire desert section, almost 700 miles, and then don't hike anymore on the PCT for the season, it's a through hike as far as I'm concerned. And I can already hear some of the through hike term Nazis. No, a through hike is from the beginning to the end of the trail. Rah, rah, rah. Yeah, I get it. And you go ahead and wrap your arms around that strict definition and hug it so tightly. You go right ahead. I'll be over here doing my own thing. And, you know, I did 700 miles with several resupplies. That's a through hike as far as I'm concerned. I'm not going to call it a PCT through hike. I'll call it a desert through hike, whatever. But I think mentally that'll motivate me and get me going. But yeah, I think that's the thing. Is it? I'm gonna string together several section hikes to make a through hike. That's the saying. That's what I'm doing. When I first start, I'm not starting the entire PCT trail. I am starting a trip that's gonna end at Lake Morena, where I get a burger and then go out and camp, and then I start another trip that's going to last for another couple of days until I get to this point, and et cetera, et cetera. And I'm not even talking 0 days. Like at Lake Morena, I have no intention of taking a 0. I intend to get there by day 2 because I don't want to push a lot of people, 20-mile days and all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to start with a 20-mile day and push my way all the way to Lake Morena the first day. So I'm going to go probably about halfway is my initial plan to Lake Morena, and then the next day I'll get there, get a burger at the malt shop, and then a little bit outside of Lake Morena I'll find a campsite, sleep, and then I'll just keep going from there. So even not 0 days, but every time I get into a little place like Lake Morena, some civilization where I can get some town food and things like that, I consider that the end of one little segment and the beginning of a new one. And you just string those segments together, and next thing you know, you've got this whole giant thing done. So that's what I'm working on, and that's my mental attitude for that. Is I'm going to take a bead on a certain point and head for it. It's kind of a larger version of how I used to do it backpacking. When I would go out with friends in the Sierras and stuff, it's like, well, where do you want to go? Well, let's head for Basin Peak because that's right there. Can you see Basin Peak? Let's head to the bottom of that, which is Round Valley. Let's go. And once we get there, you want to camp here? We got plenty of daylight. Let's now go to here, and we take a beat on that. So that's what I'm going to be doing in a bigger version of that. I'm going to my eyes right now are on Lake Morena. Get to there. There's town food there and water and cool. Okay, now we're here. What's next? Okay, now we're going to go to, and just section off, and that's my approach. And we'll see how it goes. Like I say, I think my biggest mental hurdle is going to be missing the family and wanting to see them. I already have a plan too that if I can get all the way through the desert section, I think starting as early as I am, no matter what the snowpack does, there's going to be a lot of snow, and I am not geared up for snow. I'm not into the snow, and I've seen plenty of people skip parts of the Sierras, do other parts of the trail, and then come back. And I think that would be probably my plan from the get-go, is I'm going to get through the desert section, and if I feel like, wow, this is really amazing, I just want to keep going, then at the end of the desert section, Kennedy Meadows area, somewhere around there, I'll get picked up, see the family, spend a few days at home. My home is in Northern California, so spend a few days at home, jump on the trail somewhere around there, Northern California, and from there head north on the trail, do the rest of California, maybe jump into Oregon. If I have time, maybe I'll go all the way. Or maybe I'll jump back to the beginning of the Sierras and finish that this summer. I don't know. I don't know. The thing, like I said, full disclosure, I am not setting out with Canada in my sights. I'm setting out with this next station in my sight. And then I get there and I set the next one in my sight. And I'm just going to keep going as long as I feel comfortable going and mentally charged to go. And if that means I get all the way to Canada, fantastic. If that means I end up doing half the trail and then I get off to spend time with the family and then I pick it up next year, that may happen as well. I've seen other hikers that I respect. Captain Dan's one of them. That's what he did. He got to a certain point of the trail. He had done a little over half the PCT and was having knee problems and was having those kind of issues, and he just got off the trail. And he rested himself for the rest of the hiking season and things like that. Got right back out there the next year, finished it. As far as I'm concerned, he's a PCT hiker. I mean, he did it. He did it in 2 big chunks, but he did it, and that's the thing. There's no laws. There's no, it's just, I don't have to prove anything to anybody. If I want to be a PCT hiker by doing it in big chunks, that's what I'll do. And if I get out there and like, hey man, I'm doing this, And I may do it in one chunk. Who knows? But that's my full disclosure. That's how I'm going to tackle this trail. Is I'm going to take it a piece at a time, and I'll do as many pieces as I feel comfortable doing, for as long as I feel comfortable doing it. And if that takes me to Canada, success. If it takes me halfway there, success. If it takes me 700 miles and I want to break, as far as I'm concerned, that's still a success. I'm still out there doing these big chunks, and I'm having a good time, and that's going to be the key. Is I need to enjoy this. If I'm not enjoying it, and I understand there's going to be parts of the trail that are like, I'm just so freaking burnt out on this. But for the most part, it's still going to be enjoyable. If I'm just actually physically suffering, something is obviously hurt and things, and then that's going to affect it. So that's my take on the mental aspect that I'm dealing with for myself, for the Pacific Crest Trail. And other than that, I might do one more on how I'm training and stuff for the PCT. But other than that, I think the last of the pre-trail PCT videos coming up will be looking at the gear that I'm planning on using, and we'll see how that goes. So we'll catch you later.